Hi friends, welcome to my channel Code with Infinite. In this tutorial, you'll learn about what is HTML, why is HTML required, you'll be creating your first HTML page and running your first HTML page. You'll also understand about the building blocks of HTML, which are tags and elements. You'll also learn about what are different types of tags and elements in HTML. So without a further ado, let's get started. To understand HTML, let's start with decoding the answer of what is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hyper means beyond. Text is anything which is readable. When we combine these two words, hyper plus text, which means beyond text, we says that it is not a normal text that you see in your notebook, but it is a text that you see in your computer screen. Okay. So for an example, if you go to your search bar and type in there YouTube, the first text, right, over here, which is YouTube. So this is not a normal text because on click of this text, you'll be loading a different web page, right? Or you'll be loading a different image. So any kind of text upon click of which, or you can load a different image or a different page or a different document is said to be a hypertext. Markup language. So markup language is set of symbols. What kind of symbol? Generally it is a less than symbol, a greater than symbol, and a forward slash. So it is a set of symbols which will help browser, your say Chrome browser, to represent. You'll write some text inside this symbols. Okay. So it will help your browser to present that text into the browser in the form of a document that will get displayed in your browser. So this markup language part seems to be a bit complex as of now to understand. We'll understand in a better and simple way when we'll see the practical of it. Now we have understood what is HTML. Let's understand what can be done using HTML, or why even there is need to learn HTML, or why we require HTML. So to answer this, we require HTML because we want to capture the data from the user. Okay, it can be in any form. For an example, you might have seen different kind of forms, right? Where you enter your username, password, and you click on login button. So that form, to create a structure of a form, we require HTML. Or to handle user interaction, like to make user or give user a place where user can type something. Okay, for this, to create this, we require HTML. This is search bar that appears in a Google Chrome homepage, right? So this can be created using HTML because we want the user input. So to gather the user input or to gather the user interaction, we require HTML. And in simple form, if I make you understand, HTML is required to create the structure of your web page. And what is web page? Any document or any HTML page or that loads on your browser, it's said to be a web page. Okay, because it is loading on a web. Also, HTML can be used to load or publish your different kind of images, video, audio. Okay. Now we have understood what is HTML and why is it even HTML required. Now next thing is we'll go and see the practical of it. We'll create the first HTML page. So for that, you need to go to your Visual Studio Code. Before that, you can just go to any of your path and create a folder. So over here, I'm going to create a folder, say demo or day one. And you need to open this folder with your VS Code. So for that, there are two ways. Either you can open your VS Code and you can click on this open folder to select your folder. Okay. And the other ways, which I generally use, whatever is my folder, I'll just double click on that, click at top and write in CMD and hit on enter. So a command prompt will get open with the same path where your folder is there. Now there is a shortcut key to use code cod space dot and hit on enter. So this command will do what is, it will open Visual Studio Code with that folder. So I can trust the author, click on yes. Getting started, you can click on cross. So you can see that we have day one folder open over here, right? Now let's go and create our first HTML page. What is an HTML page? A file with having an extension .html or .htm. So hover over your folder and there will be an option to create a new file, or you can create a new folder. Okay. But we'll create a new file because we want to create a new HTML file. Click on new file, give a name to it, say demo, and the extension should be .html or .htm. So I'm going to go with HTML and click outside. A HTML file is created. To get started to write the content inside your HTML, there is a very good extension in Visual Studio Code that you can make use of. So click on this extension icon and search there HTML boilerplate. Okay, this is one of the extensions that we have already installed in our video where we have seen the installation of Visual Studio Code. So if you don't have a Visual Studio Code and you want to install it, I have a video created. The video link is in my description and you'll be getting in the I button. So this HTML boilerplate we have already installed in our VS Code, right? So we require one more extension to run our HTML file, that is live server. So write live server, hit on enter. The first one coming from day, click on install. In some second of time it will get installed. Meanwhile, we'll go back to our HTML file and we have installed one extension that was HTML boilerplate, right? So just type HTML. Okay. So there is an option, at fourth option, HTML boilerplate, and this is coming from your extension that you have installed, HTML boilerplate extension. Okay. So this, when you hit on enter, what will happen is you will get the basic structure of HTML that you don't have to write from very beginning. So just click on enter and you get a basic structure of your HTML page. This is not installed. Okay, now over here we'll have some boilerplate code. What we can do is we can just remove this code for now. From here also we'll clear all the data. These are some extra data that we'll see later as we proceed in this tutorial. We'll remove script also. Okay, here we go. So this is the basic structure of your HTML page or document. Before we start understanding this document or HTML page, there are few terminology that you must understand that is related to your HTML. So first let us understand those terminology. First is tags in HTML. What are tags in HTML? Because in HTML you will all have is tag. It is tag which makes an HTML page. So what are these tags? Tags in HTML are the one which form HTML. So tags are nothing but anything that is present inside your less than symbol, greater than symbol. So this is a tag. If I write a text HTML inside this less than and greater than, this is called a HTML tag. If I write body, this is called a body tag. And this such kind of tag where you have some text or you don't have any text, but it's less than symbol and greater than symbol, it is said to be an opening tag. And the tags such as less than symbol, forward slash, greater than symbol, it is said to be a closing tag. So if I write HTML, this is called as a closing HTML tag. This is called as a closing body tag. So you have understood about tags. And now what are HTML elements?
So HTML elements are nothing but your opening tag, then some text, say hello world, and then your closing tag. So this is called as a HTML element, a opening tag, a closing tag, and in between that you have some text, which is hello world. So all three combined, your opening tag, text, and the closing tag forms, or we call it as a HTML element. So I hope that is clear what are tags and what are HTML element. Now let's go back to our document. So you see the same kind of thing over here. This is called as a HTML tag. This is a head tag. This is a title. This is a body, right? And this is one of the tag that is doc type. This is a special type of tag which is appended or is starting with exclamatory symbol. So this tag, that is doc type tag, this tag gives some extra information to your browser. When your HTML page will get loaded into your browser, that is Chrome browser, it tells browser that which version of HTML the browser should use to decode your HTML and load your content in the browser. So this is HTML5 version, which will give the information to the browser that use HTML5 version to decode the code and load the content into the browser. The next tag that we see is HTML tag, right? So this is tag which is called as a parent tag or a container tag, because this is one of the tag which is container of all other HTML element in your HTML document. So all other HTML element that comes or that you write in your HTML document is written inside this HTML tag or the parent or the container tag. Next is head tag. Head tag is the tag which provides some metadata to your web page or to your document, and that metadata is given to the browser. Metadata, when we say metadata, providing some extra information, like if you want to link your styling sheet, or if you want to link a JavaScript file. So that linking is done into your HTML with the help of this head. And that linking and all that we'll see later when we study JavaScript and CSS. Next is body. So this body tag is the main container of your HTML document. So whatever that you want to display as part of your HTML document, that all thing has to be stored, that all thing has to be coded inside this body tag. Now, next step is how do we run this HTML file or HTML code. So for that, click on your file, then right click and open with Live Server. So this HTML page, now you can see that it has opened in your browser with the help of Live Server. And you can see that at the top, we have something called as demo, right? The name of the page, the title of the page, and how it has come because we have provided the metadata in the head tag with the help of a title tag. Next is, let's go and write something inside your body. So H1 is one of the other tag. Now let's go back to the browser and see, yeah, we have in our body. So in the body of your web page, that is down of this line, right? This is complete part of your body where your HTML, body of your HTML will get rendered into your browser. Next is, let us understand types of element in HTML. So we know that what is an HTML element. Now there are different types of HTML element. First one, on the basis of how you write. First one is container element. The second one is empty element. Container element are the element which has a opening tag and which has a closing tag. So such kind of element are called as container element. The element or the tag which do not have a closing tag, for an example BR, is said to be a empty element. So container element are the element which is having opening tag and closing tag. Empty element are the element which does not have a closing tag. Let's go and check this in the practical. So this is one of the tag, right, which is a container. And there is another tag. Let me do one thing. Copy this, right. So there will be two line of it that is getting displayed. So there was an extra tag that we have studied, which is said to be an empty element, right? So let's just go and do that testing. We'll give a BR. So BR stands for line break. So you'll see that there will be an extra space between both of the hello HTML text that is getting rendered in your browser. So the BR is used to give some extra line. So BR is over here is a empty element because it does not have an end tag, and H1 is called as a container element because it has an opening and a closing tag. So I hope that is clear, the difference between a container element and an empty element. Now next is on the basis of how element is getting rendered or getting displayed in browser. Okay. So there are two types of it on the basis of how it is getting displayed in the browser. The very first is block element. The second one is inline element. Okay. Let's test this. What are the differences and why do we call it block and inline? So when we have used H1, right? So we see that both H1 are getting displayed in a different line, right? So this is called as a block element. So an element that always gets rendered or get displayed in the browser in a different line is called as a block element. So no matter how you write it in your HTML document, if you write it on the same line also, it is going to get displayed on a different line. Okay. Now let's check for the second one, that is inline element. So for that, there is a kind of inline element that is span. You write some text, there is span, and then we write another span with same text. Span. What you see that this span will get displayed on a same line. Set. So the text, if it is getting displayed, or the element, if it is getting rendered in your browser or getting displayed in the browser in the same line, it is said to be inline, as the name suggests, inline, same line. Okay. Block element, they have their own block. Like this is block for one of the block element. So it will be rendered on a different line. So that is called as a block element. So one thing that I missed out was whenever you write any code inside your HTML file in your VS Code, you have to save it using Control Save. Okay. But there is a way that every time you don't have to do Control Save. Instead of that, what you can do is go to File and check on this option, Auto Save. By default, it is not checked. By default, it will be like this. Just you click on this file, you go to File and click on this Auto Save. So anytime you do some changes on your HTML file, you don't have to save again and again. You just have to go to browser and you will see the changes. So that's all from this tutorial. In the next lecture, we'll see a more detail about this HTML or a different type of HTML element or tag and their usages.
Woohoo! That was a great day of learning, wasn't it? If you enjoyed the content, I would kindly ask you to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I would be mighty, mighty grateful. See you in the next video.